The Motorspirit is here at Santa Agata Bolognese, home of a Lamborghini. The story of Lamborghini is pretty well known. Ferruccio Lamborghini, an Italian industrialist, he made all his money in tractors, so he knew something about manufacturing. Went to Enzo Ferrari complaining about the quality of his cars. The thinking is, I think it was over the clutches. Well, Ferrari hadn't heard much about customer satisfaction. It's a customer satisfaction index at that point, and told him in his best Italian, "Tuffa." Well, Lamborghini said, "I'm going to go make my own cars." He kind of recruited some Ferrari people like Bizzarini and went off and built this plant here about an hour out of Bologna. This was in the early 1960s. Lamborghini's astrological sign was Taurus, and that's the reason for the bull being in the logo and in the insignia. One of the first cars was the 350 GT, kind of a bulbous, brutish-looking car with a V12 that sat on the best combination of wire wheels and tires that there is. Beautiful interior. It was the perfect car for the Italian industrialist to drive on the autostrada to go from Bologna to Florence or Milan for lunch. Perfect GT car. Then came the Miura, and that just obliterated everything. It is the totality of Italian essence. Beautiful, sounds great, gorgeous. It is still one of the most beautiful automobiles in the world today. The company's gone through a series of ownerships. At one time, Chrysler had part of it. They probably had more marriages and divorces than a Hollywood starlet. But today it's owned by Volkswagen Group, and you can tell because there are a bunch of Audis in the parking lot with Ingolstadt license plates.
This is the 3.5-liter 350 GT. The body was made by Carrozzeria Touring of Milan, using their patented Superleggera lightweight body technique. And then later came the 400 GT. Lamborghini really wanted to make GT cars and did not want to go racing, making road and race cars in the Ferrari manner. But he had a bunch of racers for engineers, and in an after-hours clandestine project, they created the Miura, starting the mid-engine trend and the Lamborghini tradition of naming cars after famous bullfighting bulls. And yes, Lamborghini has made an SUV in the 1970s. It was the LM002. And in the 80s came the famous Countach, an exception to the bull naming tradition, but started the characteristic style of a Lamborghini, using flat surfaces and sharp creases in the bodywork. Back by the wall is the Diablo, where in the 1990s it came with this monstrous engine. And in the late 80s and early 90s, Lamborghini was an engine supplier to several Formula One teams, like Minardi, and drivers like Derek Warwick, Terry Boutsen, and Alec Zanardi. Lamborghini has made a bunch of one-offs, and concept cars like the 2005 Concept S, done for the Geneva show, and a redo of the Miura, done on the 40th anniversary of the car in 2006. The company has been clear it's not going to make it. And there's a concept for a four-door sedan, the S-Took, named after the sword matadors use, kind of Aston Rapidish looking. And there has been no announcement by corporate executives if it will go into production. The Aventador is a V12 with 700 horsepower, a carbon fiber monocoque that takes a week just to make that. And it takes them 400 hours to make a car, start to finish, from making components to hand assembly. That's about 50 days. 5 cars are built each day, and since Audi bought them, overall production has gone from about 300 cars in 1999 to 2,500 in 2014. The baby V10 Huracan is $200,000. The Aventador is in the $400,000 range.
It's worth visiting Lamborghini. First, make a reservation for the factory tour. You'll end up wanting to buy a car. Second, the museum closes at lunch. You know, the Italians do have a special place for their lunch hour. But send me an email and I'll send you the name of a restaurant nearby that's terrific. And finally, an interesting contrast. Lamborghini cars are kind of outlandish, but the museum is understated. Ferrari, the museum is like a Hollywood set. It's got everything. They pull out everything. But they have a big reputation to maintain. Either way, visit them both. They're worth it.